Hey guys, welcome back to Learn to Play TV. Well, today is starting off to be an awesome day. Our friends over at trollandtoad.com have sent us the newly released Yu-Gi-Oh! Series 1 6-figure starter set from Heroclix. So a really big thank you to them for sponsoring this video, and for those of you watching, remember to check out trollandtoad.com today for all your Heroclix needs by clicking the link up in the top right hand corner of this video or down below in the description. So how many of you out there were fans of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game? Or how about the TV show? Or even the manga that sparked it all? Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been around since the late 90s, and it has been a huge hit since release. I remember spending hours with my friends playing this trading card game, building stronger monster decks with some amazing trap and spell cards. It was a lot of fun. So now that Heroclix has their own set coming out for Yu-Gi-Oh!, I am very excited to get in, open up this starter set, and see what's inside. So now that we have everything unboxed, let's go over what we got in this starter set. To start us off, we always get our Powers and Abilities card with our 2013 core rulebook. This is to go over how to play Heroclix and what to do for specific powers and abilities for your characters. Very important to have when playing. We also do get our objects and special terrain markers, as well as our double-sided full color map, and we do get our 6 starter figures and their character cards. Pretty standard for a starter set. Now, I am liking the fact that you do get the full-size dice. This is something that WizKids started a few sets back in the starter sets, and they are really nice to have over those really tiny dice. So good job, WizKids. Keep that up. Now, I saved the best for last. As you see, we have over here to the right, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Scenarios rule card. This card essentially goes over additional rules that you can use during gameplay that help you get into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fighting style. So now let's go ahead and go over these characters individually and see how they match up. So the first monster to start our review is the Dark Magician. And this guy has always been one of my favorite monsters from the trading card game. And I have to say, the sculpt is really looking nice. Now, the Dark Magician can be played at 150 points with 8 clicks of life. And let me tell you that this guy definitely lives up to his reputation of being strong. He starts off with a running shot, an 11 attack with 4 damage and probability. Plus, he gets protection with his 17 impervious. Now, that is just an awesome start for a 150 point figure. Now, he does also get paired up with Energy Explosion, but for the life of me, I can't really figure out why, since he's only got 1 lightning bolt. Energy Explosion isn't really going to do much, since characters nowadays have some sort of toughness or a way to obtain it. As we move through his dial, we see that he keeps his combat values relatively high. Now, on to click 4, we do find a little change up with the Dark Magician, picking up Penetrating Psychic Blast and Outwit. And I gotta say, that's a pretty awesome trade. Even if your opponent was able to do damage to this guy and knocked him back the first 3 clicks, the Dark Magician is going to remain very protected and strong. This is a great character to have in your collection, and I would highly recommend him for any team. Next up, we have Breaker the Magical Warrior, and this monster can be played at 100 points with 7 clicks of life. Now, for 100 points, this guy has a pretty awesome dial. He starts off with a deadly combo of Charge, Blade Claw Fang, and Exploit Weakness. A combo that is enough to hurt anyone on the receiving end. Choosing between a printed 3 or 2 damage, or if you're feeling a little extra lucky, using that Blade Claw Fang for a potential of 6 penetrating is awesome. And for protection, let's go ahead and throw 3 clicks of Invulnerability, making this guy a tanky fighter. And this guy makes sure he goes down swinging, because on click 3, he loses his charge, but picks up Flurry, giving you 2 chances to stick it to your opponent. Breaker also continues to keep his high attack and damage values, despite losing Blade Claw Fang and Exploit Weakness. But by the time he gets to those later clicks, your opponent's character should be just about KO'd, and Breaker has enough in his reserve to make sure he finishes the job. Here we have the Pharaoh Imp, who is played at 50 points with 6 clicks of life. This set has yet to disappoint, and it's not going to start now. The Pharaoh Imp has a potential to be a beast. This guy keeps bringing the damage on every one of his clicks. On his first 2 clicks, he has Charge, Blade Claw Fang, and Combat Reflexes, giving you a potential to do 6 damage and having a high enough defense to keep him protected. Now on his 3rd click, you do have a few options for you. You do pick up Leap Climb, allowing you to retreat to safety if needed, or you can still continue to dish out the damage with another Blade Claw Fang attack. And let's not forget that Combat Reflexes, giving him a 19 defense to hopefully thwart any incoming attacks. Now where this Pharaoh Imp really shines is his last click, and it honestly is potentially to be overpowered for a 50-point figure. But with that, this monster definitely leaves it on the field. He picks up Flurry and a Blades combo, giving you a potential of 12 damage. Now that right there is an awesome way to go for a 50-point figure. Next up, we have Blue Eyes White Dragon, another very popular monster from the trading card game. This dragon can be played at 150 points with 8 clicks of life. Now I thought the Dark Magician was an awesome dial, but Blue Eyes here has a dial that can decimate opponents right out the gate. Opening up with his first 3 clicks of Running Shot with Penetrating Psychic Blast combination for at least 4 penetrating damage is awesome. Not to mention that he also gets some Impervious thrown in there for protection. This dragon even has Leadership on his first 3 clicks, allowing you even more options for your force. Now like the Dark Magician, on his 4th click, you do see a transition from the first 3. For Blue Eyes here, he loses his Running Shot, but picks up Hypersonic Speed with a combination of Energy Explosion, as well as some Invulnerability for some defense. Now on clicks 5 and 6 is where we start to see a little bit of a slowdown for Blue Eyes. He still maintains his Hypersonic Speed with Energy Explosion, but he does switch out his Invulnerability for Toughness. But don't count him out. He also picks up 2 clicks of Range Combat Expert, allowing Blue Eyes to still be effective. Overall, Blue Eyes is definitely a keeper. Here we have Hitatsu Giant, and this character has an interesting new mechanic that WizKids has added to this game, and it really coincides with the Yu-Gi-Oh style of play. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and talk about this character and his abilities. Hitatsu can be played at 100 points, and he gets 7 clicks of life. Now, like the other figures in this set, Hitatsu here is really a scrapper. He opens up with his first 3 clicks with the Charge and Super Strength combo, as well as he does have a 3 printed damage value and Battle Fury. Now I'm starting to really enjoy Battle Fury, being able to ignore shape change, as well as not being able to be hit with Incap or Mind Control. The only downside really is this guy can't be carried. But with his charge abilities, he's going to be able to get around the map just fine. Another nice touch is they threw in 3 clicks of Invulnerability to really give this guy protection from his enemies. Now, as we move along on his dial, we get to click 4 and we see a little switch, which has been fairly similar with the past figures as well. Hitatsu drops his charge but picks up Flurry and maintains his super strength. Now he does lose his invulnerability and pick up toughness, but that's okay because you do pick up 4 additional clicks of Close Combat Expert, making you even more deadly. Now, if your opponent is able to get this guy down to his last few clicks, you do have 2 chances to try and regen that health back up. So let's hope that you have some decent dice rolls. But for 100 points, this is exactly what you're looking for in a character. A character that has great movability and an option to really do some damage to your opponent. Alright, let's go over this new mechanic. WizKids has added the ability to use trap and spells by utilizing their Switch Clicks technology. Now for those of you that are familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, you guys are going to be very familiar with trap and spell cards. Now the fact that WizKids has utilized this ability and implemented it into Heroclix gives another great aspect of this game. Now some characters in this Yu-Gi-Oh set, like Hitatsu Giant that we went over earlier, will offer these abilities to add the traps or spell effects. Now there are 2 ways to do this. The first way is to pay the normal point cost for that monster. So in this case, Hitatsu Giant was 100 points. While during battle, if this character becomes KO'd, you may remove him from his dial and utilize the dial with the spell and trap ability by setting it on your sideline. Now the second way is when you're building your force. You don't necessarily have to utilize the character. On the base, you will see next to the point value, there is a purple printed number. Now that is the point cost that you would pay while building your force to remove this character from his base and utilize the dial, as you see here, to just use either the spell, which is the blue, or a trap, which is the purple. And you just set that on your sideline. Either way has their benefits, but it's really up to you and how you want to utilize your force. Now it is important to know that you may only have one trap or spell for every 100 points of the build total. And you may also not have more traps or spells on your force than characters. That is a pretty simple and easy rule. Now we've only talked about how to obtain the spell or trap abilities on your force. Now comes the activation of the trap and spells. So in order to activate these spell or traps, a friendly character on your force must be given a power action. When this happens, you take the trap or spell dial that you want, and you secretly choose and turn the dial to which spell or trap you want, then place it face down on the character that set its card. Now, depending on the spell or trap that you've chosen, its effects and use may be different from one another. So make sure to read the back of the character card that it came from, because it'll explain exactly how to activate and use the effects of that trap. Now, this mechanic is pretty easy once you get the hang of it, but I can understand that it may take a little bit of practice to fully utilize this mechanic. And for our last monster in this set, we have the Pharaoh Imp, and he can be played at 50 points for 6 clicks of life. Now overall, I really think the Pharaoh Imp that we reviewed earlier is a better 50-point figure, but this guy does have some pluses. He opens up his first click with stealth and super senses, allowing him to maneuver around the map and get into position and hopefully not be open for attack. But if you do end up getting charged on or a close combat attack for this guy, you hopefully have super senses to help protect you. Now as we move to his second click, we really see why this guy is meant to be set up correctly. He loses his stealth and gains charge, which could be very nice if you were able to maneuver him into position with that stealth. But that's not all. As he charges in, you can combo it with Blade Claw Fang, hopefully getting a good roll and hitting for some decent damage. Now he does continue to keep his super senses for his defense, so let's hope those rolls are right on point. Now as we get back towards the back end of his dial, on click 4 he still maintains his charge, but picks up Quake, which to me, this full dial is telling me that this guy is meant to be up in your face. Again, overall not a bad piece for 50 points. He does have some opportunity, but the Pharaoh Imp that was earlier is definitely a better 50-point piece from this set. So here we have our first map that comes in the starter set, and this is the Duelist Kingdom Forest. Now this map actually looks like a lot of fun and is a stealther's paradise. There's so much hindering terrain everywhere on this map, and some good blocking terrain thrown in here and there. Now the starting areas on this map are pretty standard. They're both on each end of the map and no real hindrance in between them or special corners that they're stuck in. Now from a Yu-Gi-Oh standpoint, I think this map could be a lot of fun with the characters that come in this starter set. If you position yourself behind a lot of this hindering, making your opponent have to hit you for +1 on your defense is really going to be in your favor here. And with the little bits of blocking terrain scattered around, it's going to make it really hard for ranged characters to really have an open shot here. So melee characters being up in your opponent's face is really going to shine here. And like I said, this is a stealther's paradise. You're going to have plenty of hindering terrain to move around and get into position to attack your opponent. And here we have our second map, and this is the Pegasus Castle. Now this is all outdoors, and it's all elevated terrain, starting at 1 down at the bottom here, all the way up to terrain 4 at the very top, like right up in here. Now there is some really good placement for blocking terrain. You have some really big pillars up on the sides on level 3, And then you also have individual small pillars in between the stairs and on the ledges here. So those can be utilized to really protect your characters from characters that may be perched on top of higher elevations to shoot down at you. Starting areas on this map are traditional for Heroclix, being on each side in the middle of the map. Now each starting zone does have a blocking terrain in it, leaving only 4 squares on the third level at the top and the bottom level, or the second level to place your characters. So depending on your strategy, I personally would probably throw 1 or 2 characters up at the top portion of this map here so I can gain control of this upper areas. So with some special maneuvering and careful planning on your strategy, you could definitely use this map to your advantage. This actually looks like a really fun map. Alright guys, that does it for this unboxing and review. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video, and am looking forward to hearing your responses on what you guys think of this Yu-Gi-Oh! Starter set. So remember to leave a comment down below, and I look forward to talking to you. Also, remember to take this time to subscribe to us. We have a contest for a Giant Man going on right now. Once we hit 500 subscribers, one of you lucky subscribers will have a chance at winning that Giant Man. So don't miss out today and make sure you subscribe. And also, I would like to thank TrollandToad.com again for sponsoring us in this video. And for you guys at home, remember to check out TrollandToad.com today by clicking the links or down in the description below. And remember to go ahead and give us a thumbs up while you're at it. It really helps us out. Well, alright guys, I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you all later.